coming up later, cookery with Rusty Lee on This Morning. Plus, we'll have all the gossip rinkside ahead of Saturday night's Dancing on Ice, all here from 10:30 on ITV1. Back to now, though, and it's GMTV.
Good morning. Video deadline. Is the MOD about to be forced to release a tape that would explain how this British soldier was killed by friendly fire?
Rage on our roads, the shocking new figures which show 8 out of 10 drivers are stressed and angry behind the wheel and dangerous as a result.
And more questions over the Big Brother race round. Now Danielle's met the police. That's all to come on Friday, February the 2nd, 2007.
Hello, good morning. You're watching the News Hour. It's just gone 6 o'clock. We'll have more on those stories in the next hour.
A corrosive effect. A senior minister has expressed concern about the ongoing cash for peerages investigation after the revelation that the Prime Minister was questioned again.
And who was she? We find out more about the supposed bride-to-be in that internet haircutting video. You saw it yesterday. We're live to Toronto in Canada this morning for an intriguing follow-up.
But first, is it a good day for a hairdo, Claire?
Well, I think it is actually, Penny, to be honest, particularly ours and John's.
Oh.
Every day is a good day for a hairdo in John's case, obviously.
Yes, it's true. As long as it's glued on firmly.
Not too late to be replaced, either of you, I tell you.
Anyway, I think, John, every morning you know, you're a joy to watch. Hello, good morning. Clear, crisp air coming down from the north today. It means bright and sunny for Scotland and Northern Ireland this morning. And then this area of sort of murk and mist gradually clears off the scene. Away from the southeast, it's going to be a lovely afternoon, it really is. But it's going to feel a lot colder for the weekend. The clouds hanging on in the southeast. Penny.
Thanks very much, Claire. An Oxford coroner is taking on the might of the British and American military and demanding the immediate release of video footage central to an inquiry into the death in Iraq of British soldier Lance Corporal Matty Hull. Well, Jonathan Swain is at Oxford Coroner's Court, where he will be following the case, and hopefully we'll be talking to him a little bit later on. We're just having a problem with the link to Oxford Coroner's Court at the moment.
OK, let's, in the meantime, go across to Amanda for the rest of the day's news.
John, many thanks. Good morning. Anti-terror police are trying to establish how a list of the names and addresses of at least 25 British Muslim soldiers was leaked to groups who may have been planning to kidnap and murder a serving army officer. Matt Arnold is in Birmingham Forest, where police are still searching a dozen properties after 9 arrests on Wednesday. Good morning to you, Matt.
Good morning, Amanda. I'm in the Alum Rock area of Birmingham. As you can see over my shoulder, still cordoned off, still with women police constables protecting the scene here. Lots of cordon, lots of press activity, but fairly quiet on the streets this morning. The speculation today is that a mole possibly leaked the list of targets to the alleged terrorists, and that has led to calls for protection for Muslim police officers and indeed Muslim members of the armed forces. They number 330 Muslims in the forces at the moment, and 250 of those are in the army. It's understood this morning that one or more of those targeted may have agreed to act as bait for the security services in this operation. There's at least one soldier in protective custody today. The 9 men are still in custody in Coventry after a 7-day extension was granted by magistrates in Coventry yesterday in the court. We saw those pictures of the convoy making its way to the court. They've been arrested on suspicion of commission, preparation or instigation of acts of terrorism. Now, if the allegations prove true, I think it's safe to say that this is an operation that's been lethally targeted at the cohesion in British society. Amanda, back to you.
Matt, many thanks for that. 2 senior Labour MPs have warned that the cash for honours crisis is damaging voter trust in the government. It comes just hours after it emerged that the Prime Minister was questioned for a second time by police. That interview was kept secret for 6 days. Well, Sue Jameson is in Downing Street. Good morning, Sue. Is the Prime Minister losing the support of those closest to him, do you think?
I think he's got to be concerned when he knows that these senior figures are voicing their disquiet and in no uncertain terms. We've got Hazel Blears, who is the Labour Party chair, talking about the corrosive effects of this inquiry and saying it's very difficult now for ministers to get their message across. In other words, for ordinary business of government to go on. And then there's the Constitutional Affairs spokesman. Harriet Harman is also a contender for the deputy leadership when that comes up in probably a few months' time. Also with very strong words to say.
Well, I think it has eroded trust, and it's been an unfortunate, to say the least, situation. And I think that Tony Blair, I mean, I agree with him when he said that actually those loans shouldn't have been done in secret. The party should have been told about them.
And meanwhile, there's still confusion about this 6-day blackout and speculation today, really, that perhaps it was in order that police could go and question Lord Levy, arrest him for the second time to talk to him, and that was on suspicion of perverting the course of justice. Maybe they didn't want him to know that Tony Blair had been interviewed, and still confusion about whether there were any notes, whether there is this other secret network, other email network, which Downing Street vehemently denies. But those questions are going to go on probably for a lot longer than Downing Street would like. They thought it might be all wrapped up by now. It isn't.
Sue, many thanks for that update. Now, a hard-hitting UN report is expected to warn today that global warming is happening more quickly than predicted and is undeniably a man-made catastrophe. The world's top scientists predict that average temperatures will now rise by 3 degrees in the next 100 years. It'll have devastating consequences, especially for poorer countries. Now let's have a look at what's on our website this morning, and with part 2 of our exclusive Dreamgirls podcast to download. Find out why many women over 50 say they feel invisible. And do you drive and speak on your mobile at the same time? Well, we've tips on staying safe and legal. That's all on gm.tv and now also on your mobile. And that brings the time now to 6 minutes past 6. I'm back at 6:30. Penny and John.
Thanks very much indeed, Amanda. Let's take a look at the papers this morning. The Times has a story saying that defence chiefs want to know how suspected terrorists got hold of a list of 25 serving British Muslim soldiers. 2 of the others concentrate on Mr Blair. Story you heard in the news there, being quizzed again as the cash for honours thing seems to consume Labour. We'll have more on that in a little while. Blair battles for survival is a headline in The Telegraph. And The Independent has a story saying that all peoples are to be given lessons in climate change.
The Daily Mirror has that story on the front, 20 targets, same story as was in The Guardian, I think it was. Yeah. Behead gang had dossiers on Muslim soldiers. The Daily Record has a terrible story of an 11-year-old boy who copied something that was in a film called Jackass. The Sun has that question time. Cops quiz Blair again over honours. And the Daily Mail posing the question, is Labour in meltdown?
Time now is 7 minutes past 6. Time for some sport. A massive weekend ahead in the rugby world. The Six Nations kicks off with the Calcutta Cup between England and Scotland, and the boys back.
For me, it's about putting a marker down for myself and trying to be part of this team, and then, yeah, for whatever happens after that, it'll be about the next weekend. And I don't look back. As far as I'm concerned, I'm starting from square one again.
Well, Penny's very glad he's back, largely because he's rather handsome. I think
it's important.
I think indeed.
In all sporting events.
I'm sure you're right. Sure Jeff probably may have a slightly different perspective on his return.
A bit worried.
Good morning, Jeff.
Why did I get picked?
Yeah, exactly.
You're a very attractive
man.
man.
Thank you, Penny. Yes.
Will he make a difference?
He will, certainly. He'll make a difference to the opponents more than to the England team. I think that Charlie Hodgson did a fantastic job as a fly half, but his goal kicking was so bad that England lost games purely by the fact he missed kicks. With Johnny kicks all his goals, and from an England point of view, that's great. It means points on the board. From an opposition point of view, it's a nightmare. An absolute nightmare, because every penalty you give away, it's 3 points. The England team get farther away. You've got to play more trial and error games, open up the game, and that's where Johnny's important. It's the mental side. 11 changes and a return of Jason Robinson. Return of Jason Robinson, great one-on-one man. If he's given the opportunity to play against a guy fairly close to the line, he hasn't got the pace that he used to have nowadays, but he's still got the ability to beat players. So one-on-one, he'll be a very important player. England to win? I think England to win by between 10 and 15 points. Simple as that. Wales versus Ireland on Sunday, I think, isn't it? Big game. Big game. Very big game. Now, and a story in The Guardian this morning saying that Gavin Henson has been left out, of course, not even on the bench, and they're suggesting that his, let's call it, celebrity lifestyle may have something to do with it. Well, it has insofar as it's taking away his form on the field. People like Brian O'Driscoll have a great celebrity lifestyle as well, but they're still producing on the field. Gavin, unfortunately, is not producing the goods on the field. It's as simple as that.
Yeah,
I don't think it matters how he lives.
That's right, and although he's probably the highest profile player in Welsh rugby at the minute, he's not actually a very high profile international, is he?
No, he's not. You know, everyone's always said about Gavin, great potential. You know, this guy has produced some fantastic games. He kicks the ball from an awfully long way, as he did against England in 2005. But that potential has never really been fulfilled, and all the promise has never actually come to fruition. Ireland, of course, are the favourites, aren't they, for to win the tournament? But they were before, and they faltered, didn't they? 2005. Yeah. You know, they lost the game against France, and then fell apart against Wales when they could have still won the Six Nations Championship. Ireland are a very, very strong back line. Their half backs are slightly weak, but also their front row is very poor. And the problem for them is, after Munster got destroyed by Leicester in the Heineken Cup in the scrum, it's how they keep their scrum together, whether they get enough ball to actually exploit that back line that they've got. OK, well, good to see you, Jeff. Thanks very much indeed. Intriguing weekend in football as well, of course, with Chelsea looking forward to the return of John Terry, but without Ashley Cole. And that was rugby union coming back to haunt us, but never mind. Enjoy your weekend wherever you are.
You're watching the News Hour on GMTV. This morning's headlines. An Oxford coroner is demanding the release from the MOD of classified video footage central to an inquiry into the death of a British soldier.
Police are trying to establish who leaked the names and addresses of at least 25 British Muslim soldiers to possible terrorist groups.
And senior Labour MPs are warning that the Cash for Honours crisis is damaging voter trust in the government. Now, it's a tape that could provide crucial evidence into the death of a young British soldier. Lance Corporal Matty Hull was killed when American aircraft opened fire on his tank 4 years ago. For a long time, the Minister of Defence told his relatives that no cockpit recording of the attack existed. But yesterday, a tape arrived on the desk of the coroner investigating his death. Andrew Walker is the name of the coroner, and he's demanding that the MOD give clearance for the tape to be publicly seen by 10:30. Now, it's understood that the coroner was shaking with rage when he found out that the tape couldn't yet be made public. Joining us now, military expert and former UN commander in Bosnia, Colonel Bob Stewart. What do you think about this?
I'm absolutely surprised it's taken so long to release the tape. I'm absolutely in shock about it. And of course it must be produced. I can't see why on earth there's any kind of security implication behind a cockpit recording, which apparently says, you know, someone will go to jail for this. So clearly at the time, it seems they realised they'd made a mistake. And
surely if there was something really a problem with security, they could bleep that bit out, could they not?
Yes, they could. And why has it suddenly appeared now? It's very difficult, Penny, from high in the air to identify tanks, particular tanks, friendly tanks, and perhaps there was a problem with the identification friend or foe system on the British tank as well. We don't know whether in fact that scimitar, that armoured vehicle, was identified clearly to the American tank buster aircraft
which
as
we were
being
just
friendly.
looking at there, yeah. This is the same coroner who was the coroner at the inquest of the British reporter Terry Lloyd, and at the time the NUJ said the Americans have shown complete contempt for the British legal system and it makes a mockery of the so-called special relationship.
I agree. Why the heck can't the Americans realise that we are very close allies, we're working together, our soldiers have died in the same conflict as theirs, and they should be giving total and open access to anything that helps find out exactly what happened. I suspect the reason why this tape has not been released until now, and there's been some prohibition on it, is because it actually identifies that the pilots did wrong. They don't like that, the Americans, and especially they don't like it when another nation is involved.
Well, they might not like it, but surely it behoves them to actually sort of give this tape up.
I agree. I'm pretty disgusted it's taken so long. Perhaps someone in the Ministry of Defence who wasn't meant to release it has just slipped it in an envelope and sent it to the coroner. I would like to think that's happened.
It's surprising, isn't it, that it has suddenly arrived.
And the family are in utter anguish. Well done, the coroner.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for talking to us, Colonel Bob Stewart.
So, according to reports this morning, the head of the fashion house Burberry is asking for a show business reception at the BAFTA Awards to be cancelled. Burberry, you see, sponsors the event, and the chairman is understood to be worried about demonstrations being beamed around the world after his company announced their intention to close a factory in Wales and move production to China. Sarah Moore is in South Wales, in Treorchy, and with some pretty angry people about the closure of this factory, which makes, I think, the polo shirts for Burberry. Is that right, Sarah?
That's right, John. Good morning to you. The protests seem to be taking effect, at least. This is a factory that's causing such a stir amongst the A-list. Opened in 1939, Burberry took over in 1989. Used to be thousands of people that worked here, now just over 300. But still, that makes it the largest employer in the Rhondda. But most people are just really angry. They think Burberry prides itself on being a British label. And then the news, obviously, that it's relocating to China hasn't gone down very well. It's going to have a devastating effect on the area. The A-list stars know that. They're protesting as well. They say, if you're going to move to China, we will boycott Burberry. Decked in check, it's the label the stars love to wear, from Hollywood celebs like Ava Longoria to Welsh-born superstar Catherine Zeta-Jones. And of course the ones who can't get enough. Who can forget Daniela Westbrook's obsession with the plaid? Now celebs want to boycott the label since the company has announced it's relocating its Valleys factory to China. The Queen has also offered her support, as has Prince Charles, once a fan of the classically British label. They're boosted by the support, but locals know they're facing a tough few months.
There's no money coming in off, for the family, so they're going to, be on the dole. And
of course, it's going to affect us because there is no much factories here.
I am angry. But, what can you say? They want to take it abroad, and that's it.
Without this, there's nothing. Let's be honest, we're nothing at all.
The atmosphere is pretty low at the moment.
But the effect on this close-knit community will be devastating when the factory gates shut for the last time. Well, that's what people in Treorchy think, but what about the people in the rest of the country?
If it represents Britain and all the heritage of the country, I think to know that it was made and designed here it gives it a bit of gravitas, I think.
Jobs in Wales are more important than, manufacturing clothes in China.
The people should keep it in Britain if they can. Usually they're exploited in these other countries anyway, and it's not good for the PR for the country at all.
Well, let's talk now to a member of the Welsh Assembly, Leighton Andrews. Leighton Andrews, good to see you. Thanks very much, Dee, for getting up to talk. On the face of it, this looks like a case of just corporate greed, a company that already makes a lot of money wanting to make even more. Is that how you see it?
Well, they made £165 million worth of profits last year, so this is not a company that's in trouble. It can afford to keep this factory open.
It could, and you have to say the workers have done their bit. Profits up by 22%, according to the GMB union.
Well, the workers here have performed admirably for this company. They've improved productivity. They are producing high-quality goods at a good price for the company. That's the reality here. That's why people are so angry.
Yeah, and there have been many protests down there, and there have been and will continue to be some more up here. The company, following those celebrity protests and the local people protesting down there, have said they can have the factory. They'll give the factory to the local community. Is that going to make any difference?
Well, no, there's no point in having an empty factory, and Burberry has been telling us for months that there are major problems with this factory. It's been saying, for example, that it'll cost £250,000 to sort out the insurance and the electrics here. So we're all very sceptical about that offer from the company.
We got some hint there in the interviews we did in the area about the impact this will have on employment in that part of Wales. It's going to be quite serious too, isn't it?
Well, it is our biggest employer in the community. I'm pleased to say that unemployment here is relatively low in historical terms, but it's going to be hard for people here to find jobs on their doorstep. Many of the people who work in this factory are accustomed to walking to work. They live very locally indeed. Many of them don't have cars. Now they're going to have to move to find other places to work, probably outside the Rhondda.
And what do you say to the owners who say we're still committed to Britain, we've got factories in other parts of Britain, Britain's our international headquarters, this is just one of those economic decisions, tough as it is, we've got to take?
Well, the reality is, of course, that Burberry sells itself around the world as a British company. It promotes its brand as British. It says it's a luxury brand of distinctive British sensibility. If it wants to be seen as British, it's got to keep manufacturing jobs in Britain.
OK, Leighton, thank you very much indeed. Good to talk to you. Let's just have a look what Burberry actually did say. It says that it remains firmly committed to Britain. As I said, the decision to close the factory was a very difficult one. It says that it's offering employees a substantially enhanced redundancy package, and that's about their case. But that one will do little, I have to say, to appease people in that part of the world, and many of those celebrities who are actually calling on people to boycott the product.
Time is 90 minutes past 6. Time for a break now, but when we come back, why are 8 out of 10 drivers getting angry behind the wheel? We're talking road rage.
Yes, and we'll be taking a detailed look at the weekend weather with Claire.
It's almost 21 minutes past 6. For those of you about to get in your car and drive this morning, take note. Road rage affects 8 out of 10 of us, with a third of motorists experiencing it more than once a week. An alarming new report highlights how many of us drive while angry and stressed. Here's Amanda Sargent.
This London family were travelling in a small fleet of cars following their mother's body on a horse-drawn hearse. Moments later, the funeral cortege was forced off the road by an angry bus driver.
People on the bus were terrified. They was mostly old women, and the people in the street, which was children, women, normal families in McDonald's, walking along, they just couldn't believe what was going on. And
it was just look at disbelief on their faces. I mean, they couldn't believe it. They must have been embarrassed because they didn't know what was happening. It's only because we was at the front and we could see what the driver was doing. Even though the undertaker was trying to stop him, he wasn't having none of it. He was going no matter what.
The road safety charity Brake and breakdown company Green Flag says 8 out of 10 of us admit to driving while we're angry or stressed. Nearly 2/3 are bothered by something unrelated to driving, and 3/4 of us don't concentrate behind the wheel. Today's disturbing report now calls on the government to tackle the problem of road rage. It wants high-profile safety campaigns and all drivers to be given advice.
With me now is Lindy Bradshaw, who lost her 7-week-old daughter in a road rage attack, and also here is the consumer editor of What Car magazine, Alex Jenner First. Good morning to you both. Lindy, what happened in your case?
We were driving along, coming up to a roundabout. A gentleman overtook us on the right-hand side, cut us up on the roundabout. As we went up, he sort of started braking and speeding as if to taunt us. As we sort of got up next to him, I saw him take his hands, turn the wheel into our car and rammed us into the oncoming lane where a van was coming down the road.
And that was when Tara was...
Yeah, and we were hit, our car was hit.
What a hideous thing to happen to you. And why do you think it had happened? Any clues?
I don't know, probably just angry one morning, just saw you'd have fun.
Well, I know there was a court case afterwards. Did he say why?
No, he's always denied driving the car, never shown any remorse or anything, no.
And what happened to him?
He got a 10-year sentence.
A 10-year sentence?
Yeah, he's currently got the highest in Essex history, so yeah.
Goes some way to making amends, although nothing obviously can ever compensate for the loss of Tara.
No.
Alex, it is extraordinary. Is it getting worse, or is it just our perception?
It certainly feels as though it's getting worse, and there's more and more cars on the road, and it feels as though people are leading increasingly busy lives. Everyone's always in a rush to get somewhere. People aren't planning their journeys, leaving enough time, and as a result, frustrations seem to be amplified.
Is there, this latest report says that it's 8 out of 10 of us. That is an extraordinary number, isn't it?
It is, and I think the term here, the road rage term, is a very broad term that's being used to include cases as serious as that which affected Lindy, acts of real criminal violence, as well as the more common, just minor frustrations that perhaps all of us have been guilty of feeling when we're behind the wheel, the raised hand, the raised voice, which is a very different situation.
Yes. What do you think people should do? I mean, it's very difficult, isn't it? Because, of course, we do have rows in our personal life and then get into a car. We do get into a car when we're annoyed with something else completely, and then we just kind of take it out on other road users. What would help?
Well, I think we need to take driving stress really much more seriously, and simple things, planning ahead for your journey, leaving enough time so you're not racing, making sure you know where you're going. And if you are feeling stressed out, to actually not get in the car, go for a short walk, take a lot of deep breaths, and you realise that, the car is a really dangerous weapon. For all the car safety that we have now, we feel quite invincible, but it is really dangerous, and you need to just calm down before you set off.
And not listen perhaps to heavy rock music when
Too
you're
much
in a
banging techno.
Yes,
No,
exactly.
perhaps not.
When you're in a bad mood. Lindy, what would you say?
I'd say the same. If you're feeling angry, pull over, find somewhere safe to stop, calm down, and then think before you do something.
Well, Lindy, thank you very much for coming in to talk to us, and Alex, thank you too.
OK, time now 6:25. Let's catch up on the weekend weather with Claire.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestlé Cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
Hello, good morning. Now, the air this weekend is going to be positively sparkly, crystal clear air coming down from north. There is a change in the weather, and it's coming from a cold direction, hence the reason why it's going to feel cold tonight and for the weekend. But look at this, already blue skies coming in across Scotland and Northern Ireland, creeping down to Northern England as well. This massive cloud here will eventually clear off the scene, hanging on across the Channel Islands as well as the southeast. So it's a bit of a chilly start here. In fact, temperatures a good few degrees lower than yesterday. But apart from the odd shower, and there will be a few showers about across the far north as well as west, look at this. It's going to be wall-to-wall sunshine across much of Scotland. Those temperatures struggling, though, despite the sunshine. Northern Ireland, similar situation through the afternoon, as well as the central lowlands down towards northern counties of England, where you're going to have a lovely day tomorrow as well. Wales eventually seeing that cloud clear. That means a better afternoon to come with blue sky, and those temperatures 8 or 9 degrees Celsius. We hang on to a little bit more clouds as we head down towards the southeast, and here it's going to be a bit of a cloudy afternoon, but even by 3 or 4 o'clock we could see some brighter skies coming in here. The West Country is a similar situation. It's the south coast there really where the cloud could linger, and the Channel Islands sadly is going to be a bit of a murky end to the day, but tomorrow you will see those blue skies as well. So temperatures hanging on in double figures, but then it is all change as we head through tonight. You can see here clear skies. Temperatures could actually dip down to perhaps as low as -5 in places such as Birmingham. Further north, because of more of a breeze, you're just hanging on to some sort of higher temperatures away from sort of central lowlands, the highlands and eastern areas of Scotland. Let's have a look and see what's happening on Saturday. Saturday's going to start off on a frosty note. And there could be a little bit of mist around, but generally speaking it's going to be a wonderful day. Enjoy it. Just a light breeze away from the far north there. Blue sky is going to feel crystal clear in that air as well, because it's coming from a very cleaner direction, and temperatures will be struggling a little bit. Even so, it's going to feel fabulous if you are heading out. A slight change coming in on Sunday. What's happening? Another hard frost overnight, and then we're seeing a sort of bank of cloud move in. It's a narrow band of cloud that will be moving its way southward, producing a little bit of rain across the highlands as well as the central lowlands, clipping Northern Ireland through the afternoon. And so temperatures, well, slightly higher in the north. Even so, look at this, it's still quite a chilly end to the day, and for the next few days it really is a case of 1 or 2 wintry showers, but more sunshine. Here's your summary. For your local weekend weather, visit our website gm.tv.
Good morning, 6:28. It's Friday, it's February the 2nd.
You're watching the news hour here on GMTV. In the next half hour, police have questioned the Prime Minister Tony Blair over the cash for peerage's row for a second time. Question this morning, is his legacy now becoming tarnished?
As the Big Brother race row takes another twist with Danielle Lloyd being quizzed by police, why are people still desperately trying to get on the next series of the show?
And we reveal the real story behind the bad hair day bride you may have saw yesterday. She was live on the internet. Intriguing follow-up to that from Toronto in about 20 minutes' time. Meanwhile, an Oxford coroner is taking on the might of the British and American military and demanding the immediate release of some classified video footage. It's central to an inquiry into the death in Iraq of the British soldier Lance Corporal Matty Hull. Jonathan Swain is at Oxford Coroner's Court for us this morning with all the details. Good morning, Jonathan.
Good morning, John. Well, never mind a war zone, because the battle lines, it appears, are being drawn up here at this inquest. On one side we have a grieving family and now a determined coroner against not only the British military but also the Americans as well. And what's at the heart of all of this is a videotape which the Ministry of Defence denied even existed for so many years. So what does it show? Well, it shows cockpit footage apparently of an American warplane opening fire on the armoured vehicle of Lance Corporal Matthew Hull in Iraq in 2003. We can also hear some audio voices on the tape as well from apparently the pilot saying that someone is going to go to jail for this. Well, the coroner here, Andrew Walker, isn't going to be intimidated by the Ministry of Defence, who it appears are now trying to use delaying tactics by saying that this tape cannot be shown to the public at this inquest until it's been security cleared by the American authorities. Well, the grieving family say the Ministry of Defence's behaviour is despicable. It seems that the Ministry of Defence are more interested in protecting our American cousins than they are in finding out the truth about what happened, John, to one of our own British soldiers.
Jonathan, thanks very much indeed.
It's 6:30. Here's Amanda at the news desk.
Penny, thank you. Good morning. 2 senior Labour MPs have warned that the cash for honours crisis is damaging voter trust in the government. It comes just hours after it emerged that the Prime Minister was questioned for a second time by police. That interview was kept secret for 6 days. Sue Jameson is at Downing Street. Good morning to you, Sue. Do you think the Prime Minister is losing the support of those closest to him?
Well, Amanda, I think the more messy this gets, the more it'll appear that the Prime Minister is losing support. We have here two very senior Labour figures speaking out. First, Hazel Blears, who's the Labour Party chair, who's talking about the corrosive effects of this and saying it's very difficult now to get your message across because the business of government can't go on while there is this obvious investigation in the headlines like we're seeing today. And then we've got Harriet Harman, who is the Justice Minister, if you like, and is also a contender for the deputy leadership. And she's also had some pretty tough words to say.
Well, I think it has eroded trust, and it's been an unfortunate, you know, to say the least, situation. And I think that Tony Blair, I mean, I agree with him when he said that actually those loans shouldn't have been done in secret. The party should have been told about them.
And there's also some confusion about why there was this blackout for 6 days and speculation that Lord Levy, the party's chief fundraiser, was arrested 4 days later after the secret interview with Tony Blair. Could there be a connection there? And still persistent rumours of some sort of cover-up, but Downing Street absolutely denies those.
Sue, many thanks. Following Wednesday's arrests of 9 men in Birmingham, police are trying to establish how a list of names and addresses of at least 25 British Muslim soldiers was leaked to possible terrorist groups. Muslim police and soldiers and their families may now have to be given protection. A hard-hitting UN report is expected to warn today that global warming is happening more quickly than predicted and is undeniably a man-made catastrophe. The world's top scientists predict that average temperatures will now rise by 3 degrees in the next 100 years. It'll have devastating consequences, especially for poorer countries. Staff at a Russian hospital have been accused of gagging orphaned babies' mouths with tape to stop them crying. Mobile phone footage of a 4-month-old with a dummy taped to his mouth caused outrage when it was shown on national TV. Now a criminal inquiry has been launched into workers at the hospital. Celebrity Big Brother contestant Danielle Lloyd has confirmed that she has talked to police over the alleged racist treatment of Shilpa Shetty. Miss Lloyd requested the meeting with Hertfordshire Police at her solicitor's office, but she wasn't questioned under caution. Meanwhile, fellow contestant Jo O'Mara has issued a public plea for understanding. She says her life has been totally shattered by the row. Now, an American teenager is the toast of her classmates following a basketball move that Michael Jordan will be proud of. It looked like it was game over when Jasmine Bacon missed a shot in the dying minutes of a school game. Undeterred, though, she launched the ball across the length of the court, sinking it into the net and leading her team to victory with a second to spare. Wow. Now let's have a look at what's on our website this morning. And we part 2 of our exclusive Dreamgirls podcast to download. Find out why many women over 50 say they feel invisible. And do you drive and speak on your mobile at the same time? Well, we've got tips on staying safe and legal. That's all on our website, gm.tv, and now also on your mobile. That brings the time now to 6:33. Our next news bulletin is at 7. Here's John and Penny.
Thanks very much, Amanda. Competition time, your chance to win £20,000.
John O'Colman has the details.
G'day there. I know what you're thinking. That's Heath Ledger, the movie star. Nice guess, but no, it's John O'Colman here, giving you another chance to win £20,000 at the end of the show if you can answer this question about Australia. Go on, give it a go. Which city is home to Australia's famous harbour bridge and opera house? Is it A, Sydney, B, Darwin, or C, Canberra? you can dial 090 68 100 100. That's 090 68 100 100, or text A, B or C as your answer, plus your full name and address to 81149. Or you can enter via the website, either online or on your mobile.
Lines close at 9. The winner will be revealed in entertainment today.
And just having looked at Australia there, let me tell you, there's some not bad news from Australia in the one-day match in Sydney. England 247 for 4 now after 45 overs. Their best start to, well,
45?
After 45 overs, yes.
Is that all? That sounds like a lot of overs.
Over game, yes.
Oh.
No, not in the great scheme of things.
How many overs are there in a game?
Here's what's happening where you are.
Good morning and welcome to the Breakfast News from ITV Granada. First, a patient who was one of 28 women in Manchester wrongly told they didn't have breast cancer has died. It was revealed in a report into the catalogue of blunders by consultant radiologist Amjad Hussain at Trafford and North Manchester General Hospitals. His errors led to a review of almost 2,500 mammograms taken between April 2003 and 2005. The report also criticised procedures at Trafford NHS Trust.
We do feel very sad that we let these women down. My breast specialist nurses have been working with these women, even though they've been having a lot of their care at South Manchester. So we are in touch with them every day and as much as they need us.
So if you've been caught up in the problems with misdiagnosis of breast cancer, then we'd really like to hear from you. You can contact us at the usual address, granada.reports@itv.com. That's granada.reports@itv.com. Liverpool model Danielle Lloyd has met with police over the celebrity Big Brother race row. She left the house at the weekend in 5th place, having been accused of bullying Bollywood actress Shilpa Shetty. She met officers from the Hertfordshire force last night, where she apparently also raised her own concerns about the programme. Liverpool legend Kenny Dalglish has given his support to the Reds chairman David Moores over the turmoil surrounding the club after the collapse of a takeover bid. Many fans have criticised the board over their handling of the situation after the deal with the Dubai International Consortium fell through. Now the American multi-millionaire George Gillette is poised to take over, but Dalglish says Moores deserves support.
The chairman deserved great credit because he was looking at the interests of the club and the best interests of the club. He's done a magnificent job as chairman. He's taken the club as far as he possibly could. I thought to take it on to the next level, he needed investment, which is fair enough. It's nothing to be embarrassed about.
Finally, don't miss Granada Reports tonight at 6, when our reporter Paul Crone will be bringing you the latest in his series of Cronies Champions. We've been asking you to nominate someone special in your community that we can surprise. Tune in tonight to find out who his latest champion is. That's it for now, though. I'll be back at 7:05. Time now for a look at the region's weather.
Relief for dry, chapped hands when they need it most. Nivea Hand SOS Intensive Balm.
The early cloud and showers will clear throughout the morning to make way for some good spells of sunshine. This will increase through the afternoon, and although still feeling pretty chilly, with highs of 9 Celsius, 48 Fahrenheit.
6:38, let's have a quick look at the front pages, and after those arrests in Birmingham, the Times has that headline there, terrorist hit list, named 25 Muslim soldiers. The Mirror says there were 20 targets. Behead gang had doses on Muslim soldiers. And the Independent says that all pupils are to be given lessons in climate change.
The broadsheets, well, more than the broadsheets and the pops, concentrating again on number 10. Blair battles for survival is a headline in the Daily Telegraph and the Daily Mail. Never a great fan of Labour, it has to be said, is asking, is Labour in meltdown? It doesn't look like a great legacy, does it, for the Prime Minister this morning, just months from leaving office amid claims of a cover-up and perverting the course of justice, or a suggestion of that anyway. The Cash for Honours inquiry could be the one thing that history will remember Mr Blair for.
Put up or shut up is the feeling amongst many Labour MPs. After a year-long investigation, they want the police to bring this inquiry to a swift conclusion. They fear the damage from the Cash for Peerages affair is now affecting the future of their party. What a bleak week it's been for the Prime Minister. Despite point-blank denial from his official spokesman, we now know that Tony Blair was interviewed for a second time as a witness, but not a suspect. Just 4 days ago, Lord Levy, Labour's chief fundraiser, was arrested for the second time during this investigation on suspicion of perverting the course of justice.
This case now rests on whether there is a secret email system, a piece of incriminating evidence, a paper trail which Downing Street have concealed from the Met. Downing Street dismiss any suggestion of a cover-up as utter nonsense.
To date, 4 people have been arrested and questioned under caution. Ruth Turner, Lord Levy, head teacher Des Smith and the biotech boss Sir Christopher Evans all deny any wrongdoing. It's difficult to imagine a more distracting and damaging end to the Blair era.
So joining me now, we have the Mirror political correspondent Rosa Prince and John O'Connor, former head of the flying squad in the Metropolitan Police. John, we were not told about this for a number of days, I think 4 or 5 days, maybe more. A lid was kept on this for, according to the Metropolitan Police, operational reasons. Can you think of any operational reasons that would require them to keep this information secret?
Well, I think only out of respect to the office of Prime Minister more than anything else. And bear in mind, the police have never said at any stage that the Prime Minister is a suspect in anything. He's being treated as a witness. Why should the police change that? The police wouldn't be releasing the fact if they're doing any sort of investigation. They've interviewed somebody of prominence as a witness. Why would they want to release that?
They interviewed Lord Levy, and that was made public pretty quickly, a couple of days later. Is it possible they didn't want Lord Levy to know that the Prime Minister had been interviewed for a second time, because it might alert him to certain things that they didn't want him alerted to?
Well, strategically, that might be the case. But you've got to bear in mind that Lord Levy was arrested and was interviewed under caution. The Prime Minister has been interviewed as a witness. But I think that the damage is in the process of the inquiry. That's the damage to the Prime Minister. And I think people ought to be aware that there's those 5 magic words, which means that it's a get-out-of-jail clause for all of them, which is not in the public interest.
Yes.
And that's what likes to happen
A bit
at the
like
end
the
of
Saudi
it all.
Arabian affair,
But
yes.
the damage is being done now.
Yes. I mean, how do you react as a journalist having this kept secret for all that time?
Well, I think it's fair to say that things got a bit heated yesterday afternoon when the lobby confronted the Prime Minister's official spokesman and said, hang on, you've been telling us the direct opposite of this for 6 long days.
Well, they were in the dark too, weren't they, the spokesman? Or were they?
There's some subtlety going on. The Prime Minister's official spokesman himself did not know, we're made to understand, but someone in Downing Street sent him out day after day and did not give him the information he needed to clarify the situation, and therefore it wasn't just me who was told mistruths or my colleagues in the lobby, it was the British public, the electorate, who for 6 days were led to believe something that was not true, and I think that's a very grave situation. Downing Street as I said, mounted a very robust defence yesterday, and they said it wasn't us, it was the police. We were asked to do this. What could we do other than cooperate? But in a way, I think that's even worse for the Prime Minister. If the police investigation has got to such a serious stage that they have to say to the Prime Minister, conceal the truth from the public, then where are we?
Do you think there will be a prosecution?
No. I think it's highly unlikely. I mean, did we see Lloyd George many years before your time of mine being prosecuted when, you know, cash for honours was the first time that was being alleged? I think it's highly unlikely. It's not in the public interest. I doubt if there'll be a prosecution. Yeah. But I said that it's the damage that's being caused by the investigation.
You see, a lot of people are not comforted by the fact that the person who'll make the decision as to whether or not there's a prosecution is Lord Goldsmith, who, you know, is, I'm sure, a fine and honourable man, but is deemed anyway to be a chum of Labour.
That's right, and he's at the centre of 3 different police investigations or controversies at the moment. Of course, there was the whole saga with his advice over the Iraq war. There is the Saudi deal, which, as you said, is extremely controversial, and now cash for honours. And it's pretty unsustainable for the person who is the government's lawyer, in effect, to also be the judge of the government.
Yes. Judge, jury and
well,
prosecutor,
indeed, yes.
Or not, whichever the case may be. Intriguing stuff. Thank you very much, Steve, the two of you, for being with us.
Time is 6:43. So this morning, Celebrity Big Brother contestant Danielle Lloyd has confirmed that she's had a meeting with police over the alleged racist treatment of Shilpa Shetty. The former Miss Great Britain requested the meeting with officers from Hertfordshire Police at her solicitor's office, but was not questioned under caution. Meanwhile, former S-Club singer and fellow contestant Jo Amira has issued a statement appealing for some public understanding. Shilpa herself has been talking publicly for the first time about the racism claims.
Of course it was bullying. I've never denied that. I've never denied that it was bullying. Like I said, the bullying stemmed out of insecurity, stepped out of jealousy. I've said that time and over again. See, for me, the word racism it just doesn't exist in my dictionary. I've said this, you know, innumerable number of times. So It doesn't exist, and I believe that it shouldn't exist in the world.
Well, despite the continuing uproar over the programme, thousands of wannabes are desperate to get into the next series. We caught up with some of them in Dublin.
I think it's all been blown out of proportion, to be honest. I think it was unfortunate that she decided to insult her colour, and then it just really got taken the wrong way, I believe.
Jade Goody is not the brightest spark in the bunch, and she made a mistake, and I think she should be forgiven for it. But it wouldn't put me off, but I can't see Celebrity Big Brother coming back in a hurry.
I was in two minds about going for the auditions because I wouldn't want to see that happen again, and all the bad things that happened in the news and the press and everything.
Well, joining me now is psychologist Oliver James. He's just written a new book, Affluenza, which is about placing a high value on acquiring money and possessions and wanting to be famous. I presume that's something most Big Brother, well, in fact, every Big Brother contestant wants.
I think, you know, Big Brother is a symptom of the extent to which we're infected by this virus. And it's not good for us, because a quarter of British people have suffered a mental illness in the last 12 months, which is twice as much as on the mainland Europe, and it's also typical of the English-speaking world. We're twice as likely in the English-speaking world to be mentally ill compared with mainland Europe, where they're much less materialistic, much less afflicted by the virus. So, you know, I think the fact that all these young people who are particularly affected and also most likely to be mentally ill, the fact that so many young people place a high value on money, possessions, appearances, physical and social, and fame, above all fame, you know, it's tragic. You know, that what's our life for? We shouldn't be wasting our lives worrying about whether we're going to get on Big Brother or not. We should be getting on with actually really enjoying ourselves and meeting our needs, not just going for these kind of confected wants that our society has created, all these very false wants.
Joe O'Meara, who was in the Celebrity Big Brother, has given this lengthy statement appealing for the public to really understand her side of events. Now, she says she's totally devastated by the way she's been treated since leaving the house. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I mean, you know, I think that the whole Big Brother phenomenon, the Celebrity Big Brother phenomenon particularly, is a very confected thing. It's really just, you know, what the 24, you've got 24, if you're the producer of it, you've got 24 hours of footage to choose from. I suspect that the racist argument and that the bullying and all this sort of stuff was tremendously much cooked up. And, you know, even the extent to which, you know, Jade Goody, whether she's in the Priory as a sort of publicity stunt to try and get sympathy, or whether she's actually had a breakdown, in a sense it doesn't matter. What we're talking about is a society full of marketing characters in which people are having to use their intimate selves to market themselves in order to make money, possessions, etc., become famous. And those things, you know, even if we achieve those things, as you record every day on this programme, and as the tabloids record every day on this programme, and as you as famous people will know, just being rich and successful and famous actually has no guarantee whatsoever of mental health, and in some cases seems to have the opposite effect. In Jade Goody's case, she's probably now considerably less well off emotionally, even if she's £8 million richer.
Oliver James, we have to leave it there. Thank you very much. And if you've missed any of the Celebrity Big Brother backlash, you can watch interviews with Jade and Joe on the website gm.tv, online and on the mobile. Just text the word mobile to 81189 and follow the instructions.
Now, it's been seen by more than 3 million on the internet alone, not to mention on television around the globe. We brought you the story on yesterday's News Hour, the moment a bride really loses it over her wedding day hair.
Hey, Jody. Why did I cut my hair? Why did you let me cut my hair? It's not that bad. No. See? I hate my hair! Okay. No! Get back!
Dramatic? Well, perhaps too dramatic for some. What was the real story behind that nuptial day tantrum? Let's cross now to Canada, talk to Peter Howell, the journalist on the Toronto Star who broke the story. Good to see you, Peter. You've been following this up. You've actually talked to the person involved who was having that little rant there. What have you discovered?
Well, you know, there's more to it than meets the eye. It was some kind of, it turns out to be some kind of commercial transaction. All the details haven't come out yet, but these young ladies had some kind of thing going with a hairdressing company that I think they were auditioning. They were trying to make a tape to impress them in some way. But they're all just straight out of journalism school, out of a school called Ryerson here in Toronto. They're aspiring actresses, and they hit the big time. It's like a lottery. You know, the 3 million viewers is more than a lot of Canadian TV shows.
So, essentially, what we're saying is that this was a complete fraud.
It's a complete fraud, but a very good one.
Absolutely. I mean, if she wants to be an actress, she's going to go far, isn't she?
Well, I asked one of Canada's top filmmakers to watch it, and he looked at it and he said, you know, I think they're acting. He said, but she's so good, I think I would hire her. His name's Norman Jewison. He's been nominated for Oscars many times. And he said, I would hire her as an actress.
And hasn't she been on the Jay Leno show in the States, too? No, she hasn't,
I think she's on even as we speak.
Oh, she's on as we speak?
I think they're on even as we speak.
Yeah, well, I heard a rumour to that effect, so she's obviously making a few bob out of it. Do a lot of people in your part of the world feel duped by this, or is it just a giggle?
Well, I think it's evenly split. You know, it was funny. Before, I broke the story yesterday about how it looked as if it was a fake, and then today I confirmed it that it was a fake. It was evenly split. You know, there's still some people who think it's real. They acted it so well, but I think, you know, it may be the situation where YouTube, which it was on, is still relatively new and it's a bit of a novelty, but I'm wondering in the future people might feel a little bit more duped if more of this happens.
Do those involved show any shame or remorse, or do they regard it as just a bit of a laugh?
I think they regard it as quite a bit of a laugh, and they're trying to cash in on it as best they can. It's almost shocking to see how very cynical they've become about the media so quickly. Usually it takes people about 10 or 20 years to get this level of cynicism.
Yeah. Well, Peter, thanks very much indeed for revealing the truth, and nothing but the truth at last. Good to see you. Good to talk to you over there. Thanks very much also to everyone there this morning for your texts and emails. Burberry, the closure of that factory down in South Wales, has caused some comment. What's going on what's happening to our workers when everything's gone to India and China, says one communicator.
Lots of calls about road rage, which was the other thing. The survey discovering that 8 out of 10 of us suffer from road rage at least once a week. I walk everywhere, but I'm not free from rage. I experience pavement rage. This is from somebody who's anonymous. People are just stressed, overworked, and made to feel inadequate these days. And then J. Chancellor Stevenage says road bullies are the worst, driving on your bumper, flashing their lights, forcing you off the road. They're usually driving over the speed limit too.
You'll not believe this, but it's true. I was a victim of road rage from a man driving a milk float near where I live. Hard to imagine, but true.
Really, what were you doing, John?
I wasn't doing anything at all. He was the one who was trying to bump me with a milk float.
In a car? And
I was in a car. He was in a milk float, yeah.
And you were going in. You were obviously speeding.
I was not speeding. I was going very slowly down a one-way street.
Okay.
He had the impression I cut him up, of course.
Now, GMTV today. Yeah. Kate and Andrew are next, but we've got the weather as well.
We have indeed. Looking forward to that. Enjoy. I'm off. Enjoy your weekend. I'll see you on Monday. You're going to hang around too.
I'll just loiter.